I want to be honest with you, my friend. There was a time in my life when I looked at my bank account and felt nothing but fear, when every bill that arrived felt like a burden, when I believed that prosperity was for other people, the lucky ones, the connected ones, the ones who somehow had what I lacked. And then I discovered something that changed everything. I wasn't poor because of my circumstances. I was poor because of my consciousness. The moment I learned to bless instead of curse, to feel abundance instead of lack, everything shifted. And it started with 5 simple words spoken over a single banknote. Today, I'm going to share those 5 words with you, not as theory, but as a living principle that transformed my life and can transform yours. If you've ever felt that financial struggle was your permanent condition, stay with me. This message is for you. You see, what I'm about to share with you isn't just another positive thinking technique or empty affirmation. This is a precise spiritual law, as reliable as the law of gravity, as consistent as the rising sun. And by the end of our time together today, you will possess a practical tool that can transform your entire relationship with money. Not someday, not in some distant future, but beginning right now in this very moment. I know what you're going through. I truly do. You wake up in the morning and before your feet even touch the floor, you're thinking about money. What you owe, what you lack, what you fear. You work hard, perhaps harder than those around you who seem to have so much more. You do everything right, you follow all the advice, and yet somehow prosperity seems to elude you. You look at your bank statement and feel that familiar knot in your stomach. You see others living in abundance, and you wonder, what do they have that I don't? Why does money flow to them while I struggle? And perhaps, like so many I've worked with over the decades, you've even felt guilt about wanting more. Someone along the way told you that desiring wealth was greedy, that spiritual people shouldn't care about money, that poverty was somehow noble or pure. And so you're trapped, my friend. Trapped between needing money to survive and feeling ashamed for wanting it. Trapped between working yourself to exhaustion and watching abundance flow past you to others. Trapped between faith and fear, between hope and despair. But here's what I want you to understand right now. None of this is your fault. You are not broken. You are not cursed. You are not unworthy of prosperity. What's happening is simply this. You have been operating under false beliefs about how wealth actually works. You've been taught that prosperity comes from hard labor alone, from sacrifice and struggle, from being in the right place at the right time. And while action is certainly required, that's not the fundamental law of prosperity. The fundamental law is this: your consciousness creates your circumstances. Your dominant feelings about money determine your financial reality. And if you've been living in fear, in lack, in resentment toward those who have wealth, then that consciousness is what you've been impressing upon your subconscious mind day after day, year after year. And your subconscious mind, which is connected to infinite intelligence, has been faithfully creating circumstances that match that consciousness. But here's the glorious truth that I'm going to prove to you today. The moment you change your consciousness, your circumstances must change. Not because the universe suddenly decides to favor you, but because you've aligned yourself with the law of abundance that was always there, always available, always waiting for your cooperation. For over 50 years I have studied the laws of mind. I have worked with thousands of people from every walk of life. I've counseled struggling laborers and wealthy executives, single mothers and successful entrepreneurs, and I have observed one universal, unchanging truth. The outer world of finance is always a perfect reflection of the inner world of thought and feeling. Show me a person's dominant emotional state regarding money, and I will show you their bank account. This is law. This is science. This is how the subconscious mind operates. And what I'm sharing with you today isn't theory I've read in books. This is principle I have personally lived. This is wisdom that lifted me out of my own financial darkness and has transformed countless lives over the decades. I am going to teach you 5 sacred words that, when spoken over any amount of money with genuine feeling, activate the law of divine prosperity in your life. And more than that, I'm going to teach you why these words work, so that you understand the mechanism, so that you gain mastery. Because you see, right now you may look at money and feel contraction, tension, fear. But what if I told you that's not how the universe operates? What if prosperity is actually meant to flow to you as naturally as you breathe, as effortlessly as a river flows to the ocean? The difference between your current financial reality and the abundant life that is your birthright isn't more hours of work, more sacrifice, more suffering. It's a shift in consciousness. And that shift begins with one simple act: blessing. Now, many people believe that money itself is somehow unspiritual, that wanting abundance makes you greedy or shallow. This is false teaching, my friend, and it has caused so much unnecessary suffering. Money is spirit in form. It is divine energy taking shape in the material world. It is as neutral as water, as electricity, as the air you breathe. The universe, God, infinite intelligence, whatever name speaks to your heart, wants you to prosper. It is your divine inheritance. You are a child of the infinite, and lack is not your natural state. Others believe that prosperity comes only through grinding labor, through sacrifice and strain, through somehow earning the right to be blessed. Also, false. Yes, you must take action in this world, but that action should flow from inspiration, not desperation. It should come from abundance consciousness, not poverty consciousness. When you align yourself with the law of prosperity through blessing, opportunities appear, ideas come to you, doors open that you didn't even know existed. The universe conspires in your favor not because you've worked yourself into exhaustion, but because you've changed the signal you're broadcasting. So, what I'm about to teach you is this: a specific technique for impressing your subconscious mind with a feeling of abundance. When you bless a banknote with 5 sacred words, you're not changing the paper. You're not performing magic on the currency itself. You're changing yourself. You're training your subconscious to recognize prosperity, to expect it, to accept it as your natural state. And what you consistently feel, you must experience. This is the law, and the law never fails. Let me tell you a story that illustrates this principle. Years ago, a woman came to one of my lectures in Los Angeles. She was a widow, struggling to feed her 3 young children. Her husband had passed suddenly, leaving her with no life insurance, no savings, and a mountain of medical bills. She had $17 to her name, $17 between her family and complete destitution. She came to my lecture as a last resort, hoping for some kind of miracle, though she barely believed miracles were possible anymore. After the lecture, she approached me with tears streaming down her face. The pain in her eyes was palpable, my friend. The kind of pain that comes from not knowing how you're going to feed your children the next day. She said to me, "Dr. Murphy, I've tried everything. I've prayed and prayed, but nothing changes. I'm desperate. How do I pray when I'm this desperate? What am I doing wrong?" I looked at this dear woman, and I could see that her prayers had been prayers of desperation, prayers of lack, prayers that actually affirmed her poverty rather than her prosperity. So I reached into my wallet and took out a single dollar bill. I placed it in her hands and I said, "Take this home with you tonight. Before you go to sleep, I want you to sit quietly, hold this dollar bill in your hands, and speak 5 words over it, just 5 simple words. And I want you to do this every single night for the next 7 days. Can you do that for me?" She looked at me with confusion and, honestly, a bit of skepticism. Here she was, desperate for thousands of dollars to pay her bills and feed her children, and I was giving her $1 and asking her to pray over it. It must have seemed absurd, but she was desperate enough, broken down enough, that she was willing to try anything. 7 days later, I received a letter from her, and what she described in that letter has stayed with me all these years. She wrote, "Dr. Murphy, I did what you asked. The first night, I felt foolish, holding that dollar and speaking those words. But by the 3rd night, something shifted inside me. I can't explain it, but I started to feel different about money. I started to feel that maybe, just maybe, there was hope. And then the miracles began. Not magical, mystical miracles, but the natural outworking of spiritual law. On the 5th day of her practice, she received a phone call from a former employer she hadn't spoken to in 2 years, offering her a part-time position that would allow her to work from home and care for her children. On the 6th day, she discovered a forgotten insurance policy from her husband's previous employer that would pay out a modest sum. On the 7th day, a neighbor knocked on her door with a bag of groceries and an envelope containing a small gift of cash from their church community. Within 2 weeks, her financial situation had completely stabilized. Within a month, she had steady income and was beginning to pay down her debts. Within 6 months, she wrote to me again to say that she had been promoted and was earning more than her late husband had ever made. She said, "That single blessed banknote became the turning point. It wasn't the dollar itself that changed my life. It was what happened inside me when I blessed it." You see, my friend, what was happening in those 7 nights. She was reprogramming her subconscious mind. For years, she had been impressing poverty consciousness upon her subconscious. Every time she looked at a bill with fear, every time she worried about money, every time she said, "I can't afford it," or "there's never enough," she was programming lack. Her subconscious mind accepted those feelings as instructions and created circumstances to match. But when she began blessing that single dollar, speaking those 5 words with feeling, something profound occurred. She began impressing abundance consciousness upon her subconscious. And her subconscious, which is connected to infinite intelligence, began to work on her behalf. It opened her eyes to opportunities that had always been there but were invisible to her fear-filled consciousness. It attracted to her the people and circumstances that matched her new consciousness of prosperity. This is not magic, this is not wishful thinking. This is the precise science of how your mind creates your reality. Now let me share with you my own story, because I need you to understand that I'm not speaking from some ivory tower of perpetual abundance. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to feel that prosperity is for everyone except you. When I was a young man studying in Ireland, before I came to America, I was poor. Not just financially poor, but poor in consciousness. I looked at wealthy people with a mixture of envy and resentment. I told myself stories about why they had money and I didn't. They were lucky. They were connected. They had been born into the right families. They had advantages I would never have. And every time I thought these thoughts, every time I felt that resentment, I was actually pushing prosperity further away from me. I was studying theology and philosophy, reading the great spiritual texts of the world, and yet I was missing the most fundamental truth of all. I was focused on the external world, on circumstances, on what I lacked. I was praying prayers of desperation, asking God to give me what I didn't have, never understanding that every such prayer was actually an affirmation of poverty. Then one day, I came across a passage in the Bible that stopped me in my tracks. It was from the Gospel of Mark. "Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." I had read this verse 100 times before, but this time something clicked. Believe that you receive them. Not hope you'll receive them someday. Not beg for them. Believe you already have them. And I suddenly understood. Prayer is not begging. Prayer is claiming. Prayer is impressing upon your subconscious mind the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It's not about asking for what you lack, it's about feeling the reality of what you desire as if it's already yours. That realization led me on a deep journey into understanding the laws of mind. I began to study how the subconscious mind works, how it responds to feeling rather than logic, how it creates external circumstances to match internal states. And I began to experiment on myself. I started with something simple. I took the few coins I had in my pocket, and instead of looking at them with disgust and shame, I held them in my hands and blessed them. I thanked God for my abundance. I felt, with as much emotion as I could generate, that I was a prosperous child of the universe. At first it felt like lying. How could I thank God for abundance when I was so obviously poor? But I persisted. Every day, I would hold whatever money I had, even if it was just a single coin, and I would bless it. I would speak words of thanksgiving and prosperity over it. And slowly, gradually, something inside me began to shift. I stopped resenting wealthy people and started blessing them. I stopped seeing money as something outside myself that I had to chase and started seeing it as a natural expression of the abundance of the universe. And as my consciousness shifted, my circumstances began to shift. Opportunities appeared. A teaching position opened up. A manuscript I had written was accepted for publication. Small amounts at first, then larger ones. Not through luck, not through magic, but through the natural outworking of spiritual law. I had been programming poverty with every thought, every feeling, every word. And when I changed that programming, when I began to bless instead of curse, my entire life transformed. That understanding became the foundation of all my teaching, all my writing, all my work helping others, because I discovered that what worked for me works for anyone who applies it. You see, the universe operates on law. The law of gravity doesn't work for some people and not for others. It works for everyone, always, consistently, and the same is true of the law of consciousness. Your thoughts and feelings create your reality. Not sometimes, not for lucky people, but always for everyone. The question is not whether this law is working. The question is, what consciousness are you impressing upon your subconscious mind? Let me tell you about another man who learned this principle. He was a businessman who came to see me years ago. He owned a small manufacturing company, and he was drowning in debt. Not just struggling, but truly drowning. Creditors were calling him daily. He was facing bankruptcy. His marriage was falling apart from the stress. He couldn't sleep at night. The weight of his financial situation was crushing him. He came to my office and poured out his troubles. He showed me the stack of bills, the threatening letters, the numbers that seemed insurmountable. And then he asked me what I'm sure he thought was a reasonable question. Dr. Murphy, how do I pray for God to help me pay off these debts? I looked at him and I said something that shocked him. I said, I want you to take these bills home, and every night, before you sleep, I want you to bless them. Bless every single bill. Bless the creditors. Bless the debt itself. He stared at me as if I'd lost my mind. Bless them? He said. These bills are destroying me. How can I bless what's destroying me? And I explained to him what I'm going to explain to you now. When you curse your debts, when you look at bills with fear and hatred and resentment, what are you doing? You're impressing poverty consciousness upon your subconscious mind. You're saying, I am a person who is overwhelmed by debt, I am a victim, I am powerless, and your subconscious accepts this as truth and creates more circumstances to match it. But when you bless your debts, something remarkable happens. You shift from victim consciousness to prosperity consciousness. You're saying, I am grateful for the goods and services I've received. I trust that the universe will provide the means to fulfill my obligations. I am not defined by these circumstances. You move from contraction to expansion, from fear to faith. He was skeptical, but he was desperate. So he went home and began the practice. Every evening, he would take out his stack of bills and bless each one. He would bless the electric company, the landlord, the suppliers he owed money to. He would hold the bills in his hands and speak words of blessing and gratitude over them. And he said it was the hardest thing he'd ever done because every fiber of his being wanted to curse those bills, to rage against them. But he persisted. And after about a week, he noticed something strange. He stopped waking up at 3 a.m. in a panic. The knot in his stomach began to loosen. He started sleeping better. And then, ideas began to come to him. Creative solutions he hadn't seen before. A new way to approach a client. A product modification that could open a new market. A renegotiation strategy with his suppliers. Within a month, he had restructured his entire business. He found new clients. He negotiated payment plans that his creditors accepted. He discovered inefficiencies he could eliminate. Within 6 months, he was profitable again. Within a year, he had paid off every debt and was thriving. He told me later, the bills didn't change, the economy didn't change. I changed. My consciousness changed. And when I changed, everything else changed. This is the power of blessing, my friend. This is what I'm trying to help you understand. The circumstances of your life are not the cause of your consciousness. Your consciousness is the cause of your circumstances. When you bless instead of curse, you transform your consciousness, and your external world must follow. Now, you might be wondering, what is the spiritual principle behind blessing? Why does it work? Let me take you deeper into this understanding. In the Bible, there's a story that illustrates this principle perfectly. Jesus and his disciples were surrounded by a huge crowd of people, thousands of them, and it was late in the day. The people were hungry, but there was no food. The disciples came to Jesus and said, "Send these people away so they can go to the villages and buy food." But Jesus said, "You give them something to eat." The disciples looked at him like he was crazy. "We only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they said. "What is that among so many?" And here's the key moment. Jesus took those 5 loaves and 2 fish, and before he did anything else, before he distributed them, before he tried to make them enough, he blessed them. He looked up to heaven and gave thanks for what he had, not for what he wished he had, not for what he lacked. He blessed what was already in his hands. And you know what happened. Those 5 loaves and 2 fish fed the entire multitude, with baskets left over. Now, some people read this story and think it's about magic, but it's not about magic, it's about spiritual law. It's about the principle that what you bless multiplies, and what you curse diminishes. When you look at what you have, even if it's little, and you bless it with genuine gratitude, you set into motion the law of increase. You're not just being polite. You're not just thinking positive thoughts. You're impressing upon your subconscious mind the consciousness of abundance. And your subconscious, which is connected to infinite intelligence, begins to attract to you the means of increase. This is why I teach people to bless their money. Not because the paper itself is magical, not because the coins are special, but because the act of blessing changes you. It shifts you from the consciousness of lack to the consciousness of plenty. And consciousness is the only reality. Think about it this way. Your subconscious mind is like the most powerful computer ever created. It's connected to infinite intelligence. It has access to resources, ideas, opportunities, and possibilities that your conscious mind cannot even imagine. But it only responds to one thing, the feelings you impress upon it. It doesn't respond to logic. It doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It responds to the emotional conviction you hold about yourself and your life. When you look at your financial situation with fear and curse it, you're programming that computer with fear and lack, and so it faithfully creates more experiences of fear and lack. But when you bless your finances, even if they're meager right now, you're programming that computer with abundance and gratitude, and it begins to create experiences that match that consciousness. This connects to modern psychology as well. Focus creates reality. What you consistently focus on expands in your awareness. If you focus on lack, you'll see lack everywhere. You'll notice every bill, every expense, every person who has more than you. Your brain will filter your reality to match your focus. But if you focus on abundance, if you train yourself to see prosperity and blessing, your brain begins to filter your reality differently. You notice opportunities, you see possibilities. You recognize resources that were always there but invisible to your lack-focused mind. The law is simple. What you bless with feeling must increase. What you curse with feeling must decrease. This is not mysticism. This is the mechanics of consciousness. Now, let me tell you about a young student who learned this in a powerful way. He came to one of my lectures when he was in his early 20s. He was in university, studying engineering, and he was brilliant. But he was also deeply envious. Every time he saw one of his classmates wearing nice clothes or driving a nice car or going on vacation, he felt a stab of resentment. Why did they have so much when his family had so little? Why did opportunities seem to flow so easily to them while he had to work 3 jobs just to pay tuition? After the lecture, he stayed to talk to me. He was honest about his envy, and I appreciated that honesty. He said, "Dr. Murphy, how do I stop resenting people who have what I want? I know it's wrong, but I can't help how I feel." And I told him something crucial, something I need you to hear right now. You cannot attract what you resent. Let me say that again. You cannot attract what you resent. If you look at wealthy people with envy and bitterness, you are actually repelling wealth from your life, because resentment is a statement of poverty consciousness. It's saying, they have it and I don't. It's unfair, I'm a victim. And that consciousness creates more victimhood, more lack. So I gave this young man a practice. I said, for the next 30 days, every time you see someone with wealth or success, I want you to bless them. Silently, in your heart, say, I bless your prosperity. I rejoice in your abundance. I know that there is plenty for everyone, including me, every single time. Can you do that? He agreed to try, though I could tell he was skeptical. Blessing people he envied seemed counterintuitive, but he was sincere in wanting to change, so he committed to the practice. And over the next few weeks, something remarkable happened. He later told me it was like a weight lifting off his shoulders. The first week was difficult. Every time he blessed someone he envied, part of him wanted to take it back, but he persisted. By the second week, he noticed he felt lighter. The constant churning of envy and bitterness in his stomach began to fade. He could be happy for others without feeling diminished himself. And by the third week, something astonishing started happening. A professor approached him about a paid research position. Another student offered to help him start a tutoring business that would pay better than his 3 jobs combined. A relative he hadn't spoken to in years reached out and offered to help with tuition. Within 3 months, his financial situation had completely transformed. He was earning more than he ever had, with more free time to focus on his studies. His grades improved. Opportunities seemed to appear out of nowhere, and he realized the universe had always been ready to bless him, but his consciousness of envy had been blocking the flow. When he shifted from resentment to blessing, from poverty consciousness to abundance consciousness, everything changed. He came back to see me and he said, "Dr. Murphy, I understand now. The universe wasn't withholding from me. I was withholding from myself. My consciousness of envy was like a dam blocking the river of abundance. When I started blessing others, I removed the dam." Exactly right. The universe is not playing favorites. Infinite intelligence is not deciding who gets to prosper and who doesn't. The law of consciousness operates for everyone, equally, consistently. Your consciousness determines your experience, and when you bless others' prosperity, you're affirming in your own subconscious mind that prosperity is natural, abundant, available. You're declaring, there is plenty for everyone, including me. And that declaration opens the door for abundance to flow into your life. These stories all reveal the same fundamental law. Consciousness creates circumstance. Your dominant thoughts and feelings about money determine your financial reality, and the practice of blessing is the most powerful tool for transforming consciousness from lack to abundance. Now, let me teach you the law itself more precisely, because understanding the mechanism is what gives you mastery. The fundamental principle is this: your subconscious mind is connected to infinite intelligence. Some people call this God, some call it the universe, some call it the quantum field. The name doesn't matter. What matters is understanding that there is an infinite source of creativity, of supply, of possibility, and your subconscious mind is your connection to that source. Money itself is not limited. There is no shortage of money in the universe. If all the money in the world disappeared tomorrow, human beings would create more. We created money to begin with, and we can create it infinitely. The only limitation on money is the limitation in consciousness. It's not money that's scarce. It's the consciousness of abundance that's scarce. The universe operates on precise law, not on chance or caprice. The phrase, as within, so without, captures this perfectly. Your outer world is always a mirror of your inner world. Your external circumstances are the materialization of your internal consciousness. Show me what a person thinks about and feels most consistently, and I will show you their life circumstances. This is law. Your subconscious mind accepts as true whatever you feel to be true. This is crucial to understand. It doesn't respond to what you wish were true. It doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you feel is true in your heart. If you say, "I want to be wealthy," but you feel poor, your subconscious accepts the feeling, not the words. And it creates circumstances that match your feeling of poverty. This is why most affirmations fail. People repeat positive statements like, "I am rich," "I am abundant," over and over, but they're saying it with desperation, with doubt, with the underlying feeling of, "I'm not rich and I need to be." The subconscious picks up on that feeling of lack, and it creates more lack. But when you bless money, something different happens. Blessing naturally generates the feeling of abundance. When you hold a banknote in your hands and bless it with genuine gratitude, you feel rich in that moment. You feel thankful. You feel connected to prosperity. And that feeling, impressed upon your subconscious mind regularly and consistently, begins to transform your consciousness. And your transformed consciousness must create transformed circumstances. Let me give you a scientific explanation of this. Your subconscious mind controls 95% of your life. Your habits, your automatic reactions, your beliefs about yourself and the world, these all operate from the subconscious level. Your conscious mind makes decisions, but your subconscious mind creates your reality. And here's what most people don't understand. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a real experience and one that's vividly imagined with emotion. When you bless a banknote and genuinely feel grateful for abundance, your subconscious records that as a real experience of prosperity. It doesn't matter that you only have $1 in your wallet. What matters is that for those few minutes of blessing you felt abundant. You felt grateful. You felt connected to infinite supply. And your subconscious says, "Oh, this is who we are. This is how we feel about money. This is our relationship with prosperity. And it begins to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to create circumstances that match that identity. This is how your mind creates your reality. It's not magic. It's not wishful thinking. It's the precise science of belief and expectation. Your subconscious mind is like a garden. Whatever seeds you plant in it will grow. If you plant seeds of fear and lack, you'll harvest fear and lack. If you plant seeds of blessing and abundance, you'll harvest blessing and abundance. The Bible says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Not as a man thinks in his head, but in his heart. Your heart represents your feeling nature, your emotional consciousness. What you consistently feel in your heart becomes your reality. You cannot think one way and feel another way, and expect the feeling to manifest. The feeling is always the creative power. So when I teach you to bless a banknote, I'm teaching you to create a new feeling about money. To shift from the feeling of lack, fear, and limitation to the feeling of abundance, gratitude, and infinite supply. And as that new feeling becomes habitual through daily practice, your external circumstances must conform to match it. Now, why does it have to be daily practice? Because you're reprogramming decades of conditioning. From childhood, most of us were programmed with poverty consciousness. We heard, money doesn't grow on trees, we can't afford that. Rich people are greedy. You have to work hard for money. These statements created neural pathways in your brain, emotional patterns in your subconscious. And one positive thought isn't enough to override years of negative programming. But repetition with feeling, that's the key. When you consistently impress a new belief upon your subconscious through repeated emotional experience, you create new neural pathways. You literally rewire your brain. And eventually, the new pattern becomes automatic. Abundance consciousness becomes your default setting instead of lack consciousness. This is parallel to hypnosis. In hypnosis, a suggestion that bypasses the conscious mind and goes directly into the subconscious becomes reality for the person. Well, your own repeated thoughts and feelings are a form of self-hypnosis. You're constantly hypnotizing yourself with whatever you focus on and feel most intensely. Most people are unknowingly hypnotizing themselves with poverty and lack, but you can consciously choose to hypnotize yourself with abundance and prosperity. The law is neutral. It doesn't judge whether you're programming yourself with good or bad beliefs. It simply gives you what you consistently impress upon it through feeling. If you curse your financial situation, you get more circumstances to curse. If you bless your financial situation, you get more circumstances to bless. Now, let me teach you about frequency. Everything in this universe is vibration. Science has proven this. Every atom is vibrating. Every thought is a vibration. Every emotion is a vibration. And the law of attraction, which many people misunderstand, is really the law of vibration. Like attracts like. The frequency you broadcast is the frequency you attract. Lack is a low, contracting frequency. When you're in lack consciousness, you feel fear, anxiety, worry, resentment, shame. These are all low-frequency emotions. They literally contract your energy field. They make you smaller, and they attract circumstances that match that low frequency: more lack, more problems, more struggle. Abundance is a high, expansive frequency. When you're in abundance consciousness, you feel gratitude, peace, joy, generosity, expectation. These are high-frequency emotions. They expand your energy field. They make you bigger. And they attract circumstances that match that high-frequency: opportunities, ideas, synchronicities, wealth. Most people live their entire lives in the frequency of lack. They wake up worried about money. They go through the day complaining about their situation, comparing themselves to others, feeling like victims. They go to sleep anxious about the future. Day after day, year after year, broadcasting the frequency of lack. And they wonder why they can't seem to get ahead financially. But when you practice blessing, you're training yourself to live in the frequency of abundance. You're not waiting for circumstances to change before you feel abundant. You're feeling abundant now, and letting circumstances change to match your feeling. This is the reversal of how most people live. Most people try to feel better after their situation improves. But that's backwards. You must feel better first, and then your situation improves. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Believe that you receive them. Present tense, not future tense. Feel the reality of having them now, and then you shall have them physically. First the consciousness, then the manifestation. Your habitual emotional frequency determines what you attract and experience. If you practice the frequency of lack all day through worry and complaint, it doesn't matter if you bless a banknote for 5 minutes in the evening, you're still spending 23 hours and 55 minutes programming lack. But when you combine the daily blessing practice with moment-to-moment awareness of your frequency, everything shifts. This is why the practice must be done consistently. You're not just blessing money, you're training yourself to live in a new frequency. You're reprogramming your subconscious mind to operate from abundance instead of lack. And the subconscious learns through repetition and feeling. The more consistently you practice, the faster and more completely your consciousness transforms. Now, let me address something crucial, because I know some of you are thinking it right now. You're thinking, Dr. Murphy, this sounds like begging. If I'm asking for abundance, doesn't that mean I don't have it? This is an important distinction to understand. There's a profound difference between blessing and begging, and grasping this difference is essential to your success. Most prayers for money are actually declarations of lack. When you pray, God, please give me money, I need it so badly, I'm struggling and I don't know what to do, what are you actually saying? You're saying, I don't have enough, I'm poor, I'm desperate. You're affirming lack with every word, even though you think you're praying for abundance. And your subconscious mind hears that affirmation of lack and creates more lack. Begging implies poverty consciousness. It comes from a place of emptiness, of need, of desperation. It's saying to the universe, I don't have this, please give me what I lack. And the universe responds not to your words but to your consciousness. If your consciousness is I lack, the universe says, okay, you lack. Here are more circumstances of lacking. But blessing is completely different. Blessing implies abundance consciousness. When you bless something, you're not asking for it. You're recognizing it. You're acknowledging it. You're declaring its goodness and your gratitude for it. Blessing says, I have this. I recognize its value. I am grateful for it. I expect more goodness to flow to me. That's a completely different consciousness. When you hold a banknote and bless it, you're not saying, I wish I had more money. You're saying, thank you for the money I have. Thank you for the abundance that flows to me. I recognize prosperity as my natural state. You're assuming wealth in consciousness, and assumption creates reality. The universe responds to your assumption, not to your wishes. If you assume you're poor, you experience poverty. If you assume you're abundant, you experience abundance. Your assumption is your consciousness, and your consciousness is the creative power. Listen to how Jesus taught this principle. He said, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them and ye shall have them. Believe that you receive. Not believe that you will receive someday if you're lucky. Believe that you receive now, in this moment. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and then, the physical manifestation must follow. This is the secret of scientific prayer. You don't pray for what you want. You pray from the feeling of already having it. You don't beg for prosperity. You give thanks for the prosperity that is yours. This shift in consciousness from asking to claiming, from begging to blessing is what transforms your entire financial reality. Let me give you a paradox that captures this truth. When you need nothing, everything comes. As long as you're in desperate need, you're in lack consciousness, and you create more lack. But when you feel complete, when you feel abundant, when you need nothing because you know you already have everything in consciousness, then physical abundance flows to you effortlessly. This doesn't mean you don't have desires. It doesn't mean you don't want to improve your circumstances. It means you want from a place of fullness, not from a place of emptiness. You desire from abundance consciousness, not from lack consciousness. You're not desperately chasing money, you're joyfully allowing it to flow to you. And here's another crucial point about blessing versus begging. When you bless, you're in harmony with the nature of the universe itself. The universe is abundant by nature. Look at nature, billions of stars, trillions of grains of sand, endless leaves on trees, countless fish in the ocean. Abundance is the fundamental character of creation. Lack is an illusion, a false belief, a limitation in consciousness. When you bless, you're aligning yourself with the abundance of the universe. You're acknowledging what is actually true about reality. You're saying, I recognize that the universe is plentiful, and I am part of the universe, so I too am plentiful. That's the consciousness that creates prosperity. But when you beg, you're contradicting the nature of the universe. You're saying, there isn't enough. I have to convince God to give me some of the limited supply. That's false. That's poverty consciousness, and it creates more poverty. God, infinite intelligence, the universe, it doesn't desire your poverty, it desires your prosperity and expansion. You are a channel through which the infinite expresses itself in the material world. When you prosper, the infinite prospers through you. When you expand, the infinite expands through you. Your abundance is not separate from the abundance of the universe. You are the universe in individualized form. So there's no need to beg, there's no need to plead, there's only the need to recognize what is already true, that you are a child of infinite abundance, and prosperity is your divine birthright, and you recognize this truth through the practice of blessing. Now, I want to address another false belief that stops many people from practicing this principle. Many people have been taught that money is somehow unspiritual, that wanting abundance makes you greedy or materialistic, that spiritual people should be poor and detached from material things. This teaching has caused so much unnecessary suffering, my friend, and it's time to expose it as the lie it is. Money is not spiritual pollution. Money is not evil. Money is spirit in material form. It's divine energy taking shape in this physical world. It's as neutral as water, as electricity, as the air you breathe. Water can save your life or drown you, depending on how you use it. Electricity can light your home or electrocute you, and money can be used for great good or great harm. But the money itself is neutral. It's the consciousness you bring to money that determines whether it blesses or curses. The Bible says, the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money itself, the love of money. When money becomes your God, when you value it above everything else, when you hoard it or use it to harm others, then yes, that's a problem. But that's a problem of consciousness, not a problem of money. In fact, the Bible is filled with promises of prosperity. I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper, says one verse. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. God wants you to prosper. The universe wants you to prosper. Infinite intelligence designed a world of abundance, not scarcity. Poverty does not make you spiritual. Poverty does not make you pure. Poverty makes you limited in your ability to express yourself, to help others, to fulfill your purpose in this world. How can you be a blessing to others when you're struggling yourself? How can you give generously when you have nothing to give? How can you focus on your spiritual development when you're constantly worried about survival? The truth is, prosperity allows you to be more spiritual, not less. When your material needs are met, you have the freedom to focus on higher things. You have the resources to help others. You have the energy to create and contribute. You can be a channel of blessing to the world. And here's what most people don't understand. Your abundance doesn't take from anyone else. This isn't a zero-sum game. When you prosper, you don't make someone else poor. In fact, your prosperity creates prosperity for others. When you have money, you spend it. That money goes to others. You hire people, you buy things, you tip generously, you donate to causes. Your wealth circulates and creates wealth for everyone it touches. But when you stay poor out of false spirituality, you help no one. You can't give what you don't have. You can't be a blessing when you're living in lack. So please, release this guilt about wanting prosperity. Release this false teaching that poverty is noble. God is not glorified by your poverty. God is glorified by your prosperity, used wisely and generously. The real spiritual question isn't, should I have money? The real question is, what consciousness do I bring to money? Do I see it as my God, or do I see it as a tool for good? Do I hoard it in fear, or do I circulate it in faith? Do I use it only for myself, or do I use it to bless others? When you have prosperity consciousness, you naturally become more generous, more peaceful, more able to focus on higher things. Money becomes a means of expression, not an end in itself. And that's the spiritually mature relationship with wealth. So release the guilt, Release the false belief that wanting abundance is wrong. You are a child of the infinite, and the infinite is abundant beyond measure. Claim your inheritance. Not from greed, not from ego, but from the simple truth that prosperity is your natural state. Now, let me reveal to you the 5 sacred words. Everything I've taught you so far has been preparation for this moment. Because these 5 words are not magic. They're not a formula that works regardless of your understanding. They work because of the consciousness they create when you understand the principle behind them. So here they are, the 5 words that you will speak over your money. Thank you for my abundance. That's it, 5 simple words. Thank you for my abundance. Let me break down for you why each of these words carries power, why this specific order matters, why this particular combination creates the consciousness of prosperity. Thank you. These are the first 2 words, and they are perhaps the most powerful words in any language. Gratitude is the highest frequency of consciousness. When you're in genuine gratitude, you cannot simultaneously be in fear or lack. Gratitude and worry cannot coexist. Thanksgiving lifts you immediately into a higher state of consciousness. But there's something deeper happening with thank you. When you thank someone for something, what does that imply? It implies you've received it. You cannot thank someone for what you don't have. Thanksgiving is always for something you possess or have experienced. So when you say thank you, in relation to your abundance, you're implying that you already have it. You're speaking from the consciousness of possession, not the consciousness of pursuit. This is crucial. Most people pray, please give me. But thank you is a prayer that says, I've received. It bypasses the ego mind that says you don't have it yet, and speaks directly to your subconscious, which responds to feeling, and the feeling of gratitude creates the feeling of having. Your subconscious accepts that you are a person who has abundance to be grateful for. The Bible says, in everything give thanks. Not just in good things, but in everything. Why? Because thanksgiving is the consciousness that attracts more good. When you're grateful for what you have, even if it's little, you create the magnetic field that attracts more. 4. This small word is actually a preposition of acknowledgement and receiving. It implies already having. Think about it. You don't say thank you for something you hope to get someday. You say thank you for something you've been given. This word creates grammatically and psychologically the sense of reception, of having received. It also implies relationship and connection. You're not separate from your abundance, hoping it will come to you from somewhere outside yourself. You're connected to it. It's for you. It belongs to you. It's your birthright. This little word creates the consciousness of being connected to infinite supply. This is the declaration of ownership and personal claim. Not the abundance, not some abundance, my abundance. This word moves you from poverty consciousness, which says, there isn't enough, to ownership consciousness, which says, what is mine. Most people don't claim they're good. They hope for it, they wish for it, they pray for it, but they don't claim it. They don't say mine. They're too timid, too full of false humility. But you are a child of the infinite, and you have every right to claim your inheritance. My abundance is not arrogance, it's recognition of truth. When you say you're impressing upon your subconscious mind that you are a person who owns abundance, not someone who hopes for it someday, not someone who's trying to earn it, someone who already possesses it in consciousness, and consciousness always externalizes abundance. This is the final word, and it's crucial that you use this word rather than a specific amount. Why? Because abundance is infinite. When you pray for a specific amount, thank you for $10,000, you're actually limiting the infinite. You're saying, I'll settle for this much. But when you claim abundance itself, you're opening yourself to receive in whatever measure the universe wants to give. Abundance also expands your consciousness beyond just money. Yes, you might start this practice because you want more money. That's fine. That's natural. But true abundance includes health, relationships, opportunities, ideas, peace of mind, time, energy, joy. When you claim abundance, you're aligning yourself with the nature of the universe itself. The universe is abundant by design. There is no shortage in infinite intelligence. Lack is only a belief, a limitation in consciousness. When you claim abundance, you're stating the truth about reality. You're saying, I recognize that the fundamental nature of existence is plenty, not scarcity, and I align myself with that truth. So when you put these 5 words together, thank you for my abundance, you create a perfect statement of prosperity consciousness. You're expressing gratitude as if you've already received. You're acknowledging your connection to infinite supply. You're claiming ownership of your divine inheritance. You're opening yourself to receive without limitation. These words, spoken with genuine feeling, bypass all the logical arguments your conscious mind might make. Your conscious mind might say, but you don't have abundance. Look at your bank account. But your subconscious doesn't argue. It simply accepts the feeling you impress upon it. And when you speak these words with emotion, with genuine gratitude, with the feeling of already having, your subconscious says, yes, we are abundant. This is our reality. And it begins to create circumstances to match. Now, words without feeling are useless. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you mechanically recite, thank you for my abundance, like you're reading a shopping list, nothing will happen. The power is not in the words themselves. The power is in the feeling the words generate. When you say these words, you must feel them. You must generate genuine gratitude in your heart. You must feel the warmth of thanksgiving in your chest. You must allow yourself to feel, even if just for a few moments, what it would feel like to be truly abundant. That feeling is what impresses your subconscious. That feeling is what creates the new consciousness. That feeling is the seed that grows into the harvest of prosperity. This is why I teach you to practice this before sleep. Your subconscious mind is most receptive in those moments just before you fall asleep. The conscious, critical mind is relaxing its guard. The gateway to your subconscious is wide open. What you impress upon your subconscious in those final moments before sleep goes deep. It penetrates. It takes root. So you take your banknote, you hold it in your hands, you close your eyes, and you speak these 5 words with as much feeling as you can generate. You're not trying to convince yourself of something you don't believe. You're simply allowing yourself to feel grateful for a moment. You're giving yourself permission to feel abundant, even if your logical mind protests. And here's what happens. The first night it might feel awkward or fake. That's okay. The second night, a little more natural. The third night, you start to actually feel something shift inside. By the end of the first week, you notice you're thinking differently about money. You're not as worried. You're not as afraid. By the end of the second week, you start noticing opportunities you hadn't seen before. Ideas come to you. Synchronicities happen. By the end of the third week, external circumstances begin to shift. And by the end of 30 days of consistent practice, you're living in a different consciousness and your life reflects that. But you must do it consistently. One night of blessing your money will not undo decades of programming lack. This is reprogramming work. This is consciousness transformation. It requires commitment. It requires consistency. But I promise you, if you do this faithfully for 30 days, you will never be the same person again. Now let me teach you exactly how to practice this. Because knowing the words is not enough. You must know the method, the technique, the precise way to impress your subconscious mind for maximum effect. The first practice I'm going to teach you is the evening blessing ritual. This is your foundational practice, the one you do every single night before sleep. Here's exactly how to do it. First, choose your time. It must be the last thing you do before sleep. After you've finished everything else for the day, after you've gotten ready for bed, after you've said goodnight to your family, find a quiet place where you can be alone for 5 minutes. This might be sitting on the edge of your bed. It might be in a comfortable chair. Wherever you feel relaxed and private. Take any banknote and hold it in your hands. It doesn't matter what denomination. It can be $1, $5, $20. The amount is irrelevant. What matters is that it's physical money that you're holding. Don't visualize money. Hold actual money. The physical sensation of holding it helps anchor the practice in your subconscious. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep, slow breaths. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. With each breath, allow your body to relax. Let your shoulders drop. Let tension drain out of you. Relaxation is crucial because your subconscious is most receptive when your body is relaxed. Now, as you hold that banknote between your palms, feel the texture of the paper. Notice the weight of it, however slight. Bring your attention fully into the present moment, into the sensation of holding money. This grounds you. This makes the practice real, not just an abstract mental exercise. Next, and this is crucial, you must generate genuine feeling of gratitude. Don't just think about gratitude, feel it. How do you do that? Recall a time when you felt truly, deeply grateful. Maybe it was when your child was born. Maybe it was when someone helped you in a time of need. Maybe it was a beautiful sunset that took your breath away. Whatever memory brings that warm feeling of genuine thankfulness into your heart, recall it now. Once you feel that gratitude alive in your chest, that warmth spreading through you, speak the 5 words slowly. Thank you for my abundance. Say it out loud if you can, or whisper it if others are sleeping nearby. But speak it with that feeling of gratitude you've generated. Pause. Let the words sink in. Then say it again, this time with even more feeling. Thank you for my abundance. Pour your heart into these words. Don't rush. Let each word matter. A third time. Thank you for my abundance. By now, you should be feeling something. Maybe peace. Maybe joy. Maybe just a quiet sense of rightness. Whatever you feel, let yourself feel it fully. Now, with your eyes still closed, visualize yourself as already abundant. Don't strain to see elaborate scenes. Just allow yourself to feel what it would feel like to be financially free. What would it feel like to look at your bank account with peace instead of fear? What would it feel like to pay bills without anxiety? What would it feel like to give generously? Let yourself feel that. Your subconscious responds to feeling, not to mental pictures. Sit in that feeling for another minute or two. Just breathe and feel abundant, feel grateful, feel peaceful. You're not trying to make anything happen. You're simply impressing a new feeling, a new consciousness, upon your subconscious mind. When you feel complete, open your eyes. Place the blessed banknote in your wallet or in a special place where you'll see it regularly. This becomes your sacred banknote, your reminder of the practice, your symbol of abundance consciousness. Then go to sleep. Don't worry about whether it worked. Don't analyze it. Don't wonder if you did it right. Just trust the process and sleep. Your subconscious will work on this impression throughout the night. Do this every night for a minimum of 30 days. Miss not a single night. This is your commitment to transforming your consciousness. 3 to 5 minutes per night is not a lot to ask for a complete transformation of your financial reality. The key is feeling. I'll say it again, feeling is the secret. Words without feeling are dead. But words infused with genuine emotion, with heartfelt gratitude, with the feeling of already having those words have creative power. They impress your subconscious. They create new neural pathways. They become your new reality. Common mistake people make, rushing through it mechanically. They think, okay, I'll just say the words and get it over with. No. Those 5 minutes are sacred. They're your investment in your future. Give them the attention and feeling they deserve. Another common mistake. Doing it while distracted, while thinking about tomorrow's problems or replaying today's frustrations. No. You must be fully present. Turn off your phone. Close the door. Give those 5 minutes completely to this practice. Your future prosperity deserves your full attention. Now, the second practice is the morning abundance acknowledgement. This is simpler but equally important. The moment you wake up, before you check your phone, before you get out of bed, before you start thinking about your problems, place your hand over your heart and speak, either aloud or silently. Thank you for my abundance. Then spend just 60 seconds, 1 minute feeling grateful for any form of wealth you already have. Maybe you have running water in your home. That's abundance. Maybe you have electricity. That's abundance. Maybe you have clothes in your closet, food in your pantry, a roof over your head. That's abundance. Start noticing what you do have instead of obsessing over what you don't have. This simple shift in focus, first thing in the morning, sets the tone for your entire day. You're beginning your day in the frequency of abundance instead of the frequency of lack. You're programming your consciousness from the moment you wake up. After that 60 seconds of gratitude, make this declaration, and you can say this in your own words or use mine. Divine prosperity flows to me today from expected and unexpected sources. I am open to receive the abundance that is my birthright. Thank you. Then get up and go about your day. You've set the foundation. You've tuned your frequency to abundance. Now let yourself be guided. Let yourself notice opportunities. Let yourself be in the flow. This morning practice takes less than 2 minutes, but it radically shifts how you move through your day. You'll find yourself less anxious about money. You'll find yourself noticing possibilities you would have missed. You'll find yourself feeling lighter, freer, more open. And that shift in consciousness is what allows abundance to flow to you. The third practice is to bless every transaction. This becomes an ongoing all-day awareness practice. Every time money comes to you, bless it. If someone hands you cash, silently say, "Thank you for my abundance." If you receive a paycheck, bless it. If you find a penny on the ground, bless it. Every reception of money, no matter how small, is an opportunity to reinforce abundance consciousness. And here's the part that's hardest for most people: bless money as it leaves you too. When you pay a bill, bless it. Thank the electric company for providing you electricity. Thank your landlord for providing shelter. Bless the money as it circulates. This completely transforms your relationship with spending. Most people feel resentment or fear when money leaves them. They think, "There it goes. Now I have less." That's poverty consciousness. But when you bless money as it circulates, you're affirming the truth. Money is energy, and energy circulates. What goes out comes back multiplied. You're not losing money. You're investing in the flow. You're participating in the circulation of abundance. Also, whenever you see another person's prosperity, bless them. If you see someone driving a nice car, bless them silently. I bless your prosperity. I rejoice in your abundance. If you hear about someone's success, genuinely celebrate it. Never envy. Never resent. Because remember, you cannot attract what you resent. When you bless others' prosperity, you're affirming in your own consciousness that prosperity is natural, abundant, and available to all, including you. This practice of blessing every transaction turns every moment of your day into prosperity training. Instead of unconsciously reinforcing lack all day, you're consciously reinforcing abundance. And your subconscious is always listening. It's recording every thought, every feeling, every word. Give it prosperity to record, and prosperity is what it will create. The fourth practice is the mirror acknowledgement. This one you do weekly, or whenever you notice fear or lack thoughts arising strongly. Stand before a mirror and look yourself in the eyes. This can feel uncomfortable at first. We're not used to truly seeing ourselves, but do it anyway. Hold your blessed banknote in your hand, or if you don't have it with you, simply visualize holding it. Look yourself in the eyes and speak directly to yourself. Say your own name. John, you are a child of infinite abundance. Use your name. Make it personal. Mary, you are prospered. You are blessed. You are provided for. Then say, "Thank you for my abundance." And mean it. Look at yourself as you would look at someone you love, someone you believe in, someone you know is destined for greatness. This practice directly reprograms your self-identity. Your subconscious believes what you tell it about yourself. When you look in your own eyes and declare your abundance, when you speak to yourself with love and conviction, you're creating a new identity at the subconscious level. You're shifting from seeing yourself as a person who struggles with money to seeing yourself as a person who is naturally abundant. Do this for just 2 or 3 minutes, but do it with full presence and conviction. You might feel silly at first. You might hear your inner critic saying, "This is ridiculous. You're not abundant." Ignore that voice. That's the old programming trying to maintain itself. Keep speaking truth to yourself until truth becomes your reality. Now, let me tell you what to expect over the next 30 days, because understanding the process helps you persist through the challenging moments. In the first week, you're going to feel resistance. This is completely normal. Your conscious mind is going to protest. It's going to say, "This is silly, this isn't going to work, you're just fooling yourself." You might feel awkward speaking these words. You might feel like you're lying because your bank account doesn't reflect abundance yet. This resistance is actually a good sign. It means you're bumping up against old programming. You're threatening the status quo of your subconscious beliefs. Keep practicing anyway. The resistance will fade. You might also notice unusual thoughts about money arising during this first week. Maybe you suddenly remember times you felt poor. Maybe old shame comes up. Maybe you have dreams about money. This is your subconscious processing. It's bringing up old material to be released. Don't be alarmed. Just keep practicing. In the second week, you'll begin feeling different when thinking about finances. The constant anxiety will start to ease. You'll notice moments of peace when looking at bills. You'll catch yourself thinking differently about money, more hopefully, more positively. Small synchronicities might appear. Maybe you find money you forgot about. Maybe someone unexpectedly pays you back a debt. Maybe you get a small refund or discount. These are signs that your consciousness is shifting and your external reality is beginning to respond. In the third week, larger shifts begin. New ideas come to you. Opportunities you hadn't noticed before suddenly appear. Someone mentions a job opening. You think of a new income stream. You get creative about solving financial challenges. This is your subconscious, now programmed with abundance, beginning to show you the resources and possibilities that were always there but invisible to lack consciousness. You'll also notice that others comment that something seems different about you. You carry yourself differently. You have more energy, more confidence, more peace. That's abundance consciousness expressing itself through your entire being. By the fourth week, external circumstances begin to clearly shift. Unexpected income sources appear. Problems that seemed insurmountable start resolving. Doors that were closed start opening. People offer help, opportunities, ideas. This isn't magic or coincidence. This is law manifesting. This is your transformed consciousness creating transformed circumstances. Some people experience dramatic breakthroughs quickly. Others notice gradual, steady improvement. Don't compare your journey to anyone else's. Trust your own process. The law is working whether you see immediate evidence or not. Your job is simply to maintain the practice, maintain the feeling, and allow the universe to handle the details of manifestation. After 30 days, if you've been consistent, abundance consciousness will have become your new default setting. The practice will feel natural, even joyful. You'll find yourself automatically thinking thoughts of prosperity throughout the day, and your external reality will be reflecting that new consciousness in tangible ways. But don't stop at 30 days. This isn't a one-time thing. This is a new way of life. Continue the evening blessing practice indefinitely. Make it as natural as brushing your teeth. Prosperity consciousness must be maintained, or the old patterns can creep back in. One critical reminder. Results vary because consciousness varies. Two people can do the exact same practice, and one experiences dramatic shifts immediately while the other sees gradual change. Why? Because they're starting from different levels of resistance, different depths of old programming, different degrees of faith and expectation. Don't let this discourage you. Whether your results come quickly or gradually, they will come if you persist. The law is impersonal. It works for everyone who applies it consistently. Trust the process. Maintain the practice. Feel the feeling. Allow the law to work. And please, this is important. Never discuss this practice with skeptics or mockers. When you're first forming a new consciousness, it's fragile. It's like a seedling just breaking through soil. It needs protection. If you share what you're doing with someone who ridicules it or tells you it's foolish, their doubt can shake your faith. Their negativity can contaminate your consciousness. Keep this practice sacred and private while it's forming. Do it for 30 days in silence. Don't tell everyone what you're doing. Don't seek validation or permission. Just do it. Then, after results manifest, after your consciousness is solid and your circumstances have changed, then you can share your testimony if you wish. But protect the seed while it's sprouting. My dear friend, you now possess a key that can unlock the door to divine prosperity. Not through manipulation of external circumstances, not through fantasy or wishful thinking, but through scientific prayer, the application of spiritual law that has governed creation since the beginning of time. The 5 sacred words, "Thank you for my abundance," are not magic words. They're not an incantation that works regardless of your understanding. They're a precise tool, a spiritual technology, for impressing your subconscious mind with the feeling tone of prosperity. And what you consistently impress upon your subconscious, you must experience in your external world. This is law. This is how consciousness creates reality. Remember this truth. The universe is infinite in its supply. Lack is not the nature of reality. Lack is only a belief, a consciousness, a habit of thought that can be changed starting right now. The stars don't run out of light. The ocean doesn't run out of water. The sun doesn't run out of energy. Abundance is the fundamental character of existence. You were born into an abundant universe, and abundance is your birthright. When you bless a banknote, you're not changing the paper. You're changing yourself. You're training your consciousness to recognize, expect, and receive the abundance that has always been yours. You're removing the blocks you've placed between yourself and infinite supply. You're opening the channel through which prosperity flows. Do not wait for circumstances to change before you feel abundant. That's backwards, and it will never work. Feel abundant now, and circumstances must follow. This is the law. This is how your subconscious mind operates. This is how the universe responds to your dominant emotional frequency. Your outer world is always a mirror of your inner world. Change the inner, and the outer must change. Shift your consciousness, and your circumstances shift. This is not positive thinking. This is not pretending. This is understanding that consciousness is the only reality, and everything else is its manifestation. So take this teaching, and let it become the truth you live from. Let these words become the foundation of a new life. I'm going to give you an affirmation now, and I want you to speak this with me, to let it sink deep into your heart. You can say it now, and you can return to it whenever you need to remember who you truly are. I am a child of the infinite, and divine prosperity is my natural inheritance. I bless all that I have, and all that I have multiplies. I bless all that I give, and it returns to me pressed down and overflowing. I walk in the consciousness of abundance, and the universe reflects my consciousness back to me in perfect form. Thank you, thank you, thank you for my abundance. And so it is. Speak these words, feel these words, become these words. Let them be more than sounds you repeat. Let them be the truth that transforms your entire being. You are not a person who struggles with money. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are a powerful creator, made in the image of infinite intelligence, designed to prosper and flourish. Your abundance blesses everyone around you. Your prosperity allows you to be a greater blessing to the world. So claim it without guilt, without shame, without hesitation. Claim it as your divine right. And watch as the universe rushes to confirm what you have claimed in consciousness. If this teaching has resonated with your spirit, if something inside you has recognized the truth of what I've shared, I ask you to do 3 simple things. First, subscribe to this channel so you can continue receiving these principles of truth and prosperity. I have so much more wisdom to share with you, so many more laws to teach you, so many more ways to help you transform your life from limitation to abundance. Click that subscribe button so we can continue this journey together. Second, press the like button if this message has opened something within you. Your like tells me that this teaching is valuable to you, and it helps others who are searching for this truth to find it. There are so many people out there right now struggling with money, feeling hopeless, believing prosperity is impossible for them. Your like helps this message reach them. It might be exactly what someone needs to hear today to change their life forever. And third, I invite you to share in the comments below. Tell me, what is your current relationship with money? Are you ready to transform from fear to faith, from lack to abundance, from cursing to blessing? Write it in the comments. Declare it publicly. There's power in declaration. Or, if you've started this practice, if you've been blessing your banknote for 7 days or 30 days, come back and tell us what shifted for you. Share your testimony. Your story might be exactly what another soul needs to hear to find the courage to begin their own transformation. We're a community here, supporting each other and applying these timeless principles. Remember, my friend, you are not alone in this journey. Infinite intelligence is always with you, always guiding you, always providing for you. You are never separate from the source of all supply. You are the source expressing itself in individualized form. Open your consciousness to receive all that is yours. Thank you for allowing me to share this wisdom with you today. Thank you for being open, for being willing to learn, for being courageous enough to change. May divine prosperity flow into your life like a river that never runs dry. May you know in the depths of your being that you are blessed, you are prospered, you are beloved of the universe. Go now and practice what you've learned. Bless your money tonight before you sleep. Speak those 5 sacred words with feeling, and watch as your world transforms before your eyes. Bless you, bless you, bless you, until we meet again.